Hey guys, so one of the biggest questions I get from students is how to improve your vocabulary. And everyone always feels like their vocabulary just sucks. They just aren't smart enough and they just don't have the big words that it takes to get that A+ in an essay. But I'm here to tell you that you are completely wrong. And being wrong though in this case is actually going to work in your favor. And let me tell you why. So somehow we've all fallen into this illusion that fancy vocabulary or bigger words are going to help us score that A+, or it's going to help us ensure that our essays sound better and therefore will be better. But see what I said there? I said that our essay just sounds better. It doesn't actually mean that your essay is better. And so this idea has come from the fact that when teachers give you back your essays, they'll write things like improve vocabulary, full stop. And they won't actually explain to you what that really means. So a lot of people go into this false impression that they just need to find better words that are bigger and sound smarter. But that's not what teachers actually want. And at the end of the day, when it comes to essays, what's most important are your ideas. How well do you express yourself? But when they say improve your vocabulary, often it's to say, let's find a better word to explain or articulate what you're saying, rather than writing like this massive long sentence that could say the exact same thing. So for example, you could say that with every single essay that you do, you might only improve slightly and slightly. And so every time you write a new essay, the amount of improvement drops down every time because you're getting better at that essay. But instead of saying that in like that massive long sentence, I could have just said writing more essays equals diminishing returns. And so that vocabulary of throwing in diminishing is me being able to articulate that idea in a more concise way. And that's all teachers want at the end of the day. In fact, if you're trying to throw in nice big words, it can actually worsen your essay if you're not doing it properly. So one reason is that it obstructs the clarity of your ideas. For example, in a plethora of elements, gender inequalities prevail over the women of Nigeria versus gender inequalities prevail over women's lives in Nigeria. So by throwing in plethora of elements, it's just another way of you saying several aspects, but even though it might sound better, it actually makes your sentence more convoluted. The second thing is that sometimes it can actually make you look dumber, and that's not something that you might actually want to show to your teachers. And the reason for that is because often you're at a certain level in terms of your vocabulary set. And so if we're at this level and then bam, suddenly there's a massive big word and then bam, there's another massive big word, you know, as teachers, we can tell the difference and we can see when it's like, yeah, that student has just gone and just looked up the thesaurus and just found the first thing that they saw. And often as an extension, the words that you use might not actually be the perfect word. It might not be the right synonym for the original word you were thinking. And that's because synonyms are called synonyms for a reason. They are similar words, but they're not exactly the same, and words all have different connotations, so you have to be really careful with what words you actually choose. Oh, that was actually my third point. I actually already went into it. So my example that I wrote down here was if you're trying to replace the word persuade, you could replace it with the word entice or coerce. But these two things mean very different things. For example, she tried to entice him with ice cream in order to complete the homework. So enticing has more of the idea of pulling you in, whereas to coerce someone is to pretty much like force them. So she coerced him to do the homework. That it's a lot more powerful than entice, which is much more about pleasure, for example. So the takeaway message here is don't go for big words, go for the right word. Often the right word might not even be something that's a big word or something that you've never heard of before. It could just be use instead of utilize. and that's something that I strongly preach. Like, often students don't actually know how to use the word utilize properly, so you might as well just use use. Don't try to sound smarter, because sometimes it might actually turn out worse for you and make you look dumber. So I hope that helps you guys. It's something I really preach all the time, and I'm sure you've heard me talking about this stuff before, but yeah, honestly, this is something that will make a difference, I promise you. If you get the ideas straight that you should be focused on the right word rather than the smarter sounding word, then you're already taking a step in the right direction. If you guys needed any extra tips, then don't forget that you can subscribe to my mailing list, where I send out emails every single week and offer you unique insights that I don't on YouTube. So I'll pop that down in the description box below. But until I see you guys next time, have an awesome one. Bye!